And welcome to eVetSites weekly webinar. My name is Jose Galvin. I'll be helping you out today, and we're going to be discussing search engine optimization. For those that don't know, I have a background in tech. I do not have a veterinary background, but I have a lot of love for my vets, as my veterinarian is our client. You can see her site right here, and so it's fun to be able to interact with the veterinary community and learn about it along the way. We're going to cover a couple of things here. As always, if anyone has questions, you can certainly type them into the box, and I'll stop for any questions. I'm going to try to keep it very general, and then we can set up a specific one-on-one session later on to discuss your particular concerns, needs, or anything like that. Does anyone have any questions about just SEO in general right now before I start? Okay, great. Well, what I wanted to start with is, first of all, just a real brief, very general discussion about SEO and how it works. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to talk about the different things that we can do to, SEO is short for search engine optimization. It has to do with how we can make your site rank for searches online. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and so hopefully we can help with that. So, for example, if we do a search for a town and then veterinarian, you're going to get some results here. Two different types. You're going to get, well, actually three. There's the ads that are up here. People usually pay for this sort of thing. Then there's the map results, and there's a certain amount of data, or there's a certain way that these come up. This is incumbent on your geographic location. So, for example, if we click on this map, you'll notice that there's the ads here: Sacramento Animal, Del Paso, South Sac. Sacramento's kind of a big area, so there's all these different terms that come in here. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to show things that are right in the middle of town, and then the stuff that's going out toward the outskirts gets ranked less. So this is the ranking signals that Google uses for their map results. If you wanted to come up, for example, let me see here, how about like Carmichael? Well, Carmichael's a different town. It's out here in the suburbs. And short of physically moving your location to over here, you may not rank for that. But you can certainly rank for, Sacramento, Land Park, Tahoe Park, whatever communities are near you. Every time I have a conversation with clients, on the one-on-one sessions, what I'll do is I'll have I'll ask them about their community. What's their town like? What do the areas, around them? What are the demographics? Is it an industrial section? Is it a country club? Is it a retirement community? All those things come into play, and it's fun because there's people from all over the place. I have one doctor who's a mobile doctor. He's down near an Air Force base, and so he'll help servicemen and women, and he has to meet them outside of the base. There's also folks that are rural mobile doctors that encompass a very large area. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do to improve your site. The general thing, though, is if you're not showing up for a certain town and you're you're not exactly next to it, don't worry about it too much. There's another community that's near you that we can service. Okay, and something else as well. You'll notice that there's these ratings right here. The 5-star reviews are that's a factor. The higher reviews that you have, the more reviews that you have, that'll be the tiebreaker. So if you notice, these folks here have a lot of reviews. So so there's that. Okay, now the the final searches, and I know we've covered the AdWords up here, which people pay for. There's the map, listings, and incidentally, on these reviews, we can help you with that. There is a way of us setting up a link on your website so that people can then submit the reviews and have them show up. It's easily done, and if anyone has a site that they'd like me to do that for, we can probably do it in real time here during the meeting. Okay, this is the real nitty-gritty right here. This is the organic search results. So these are, the main results that appear when you do something. You do a search on Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever the other search engines are that are out there. Primarily we're going to be discussing Google today because they're the #1 search engine. And something to talk about with Bing and Yahoo, there's still folks that use those search engines. So things that you do here will translate over to them. You're reaching a little bit of a different audience, though. For Bing, I don't want to pigeonhole the folks, but it's usually folks that aren't very techy. They don't change settings on their computer. They just kind of use it as it is. They hop on, check their email, and off they go, right? They're kind of casual users. Somebody uses Bing, they're probably using Internet Explorer. Not a value judgment. If they're using it, this is what comes with it. It's the stock browser, right? It's what appears from MSN or from Microsoft. Okay, so the organic search results right here come from a whole bunch of different sources, and you've probably heard about keywords and different things that people use. How the main determinant and the biggest one still, even with all these years of SEO research and everything going on, is content. In other words, having original content and usable content. So I did Sacramento Veterinarian. I'm pleased to see that my vet's here on the first page. I also see that there's a Yelp page that ranks the highest, which of course they've got a whole bunch of stuff here, right? So some other things that go into these ranking signals are how many times does a search term appear. So for example, right here we have veterinarians and we have Sacramento, and maybe that shows up more on that page, right? Let's go ahead and click on it really quick here. So if I do a search for Sacramento, it's showing up here on this page 11 times, right? So that's a lot of times that term is showing up. If I type in vet, I see that it's showing up about 7 times. Something else, Google does a search for words, but it also does searches for snippets of words. So veterinary is the same as veterinarian, and so it'll do kind of double duty, right? If you do vet, on the other hand, it doesn't quite have the same impact because Google doesn't know if it's going to be for like a military vet, right? So and this isn't to say that you should just jam stuff the same things over and over again. You can. I've seen web hosting companies that do that. The text looks awful because then it's repetitive, right? eVetSites in Davis, California is your veterinary web hosting provider, giving you hosting in Davis, also Dixon, and we host your sites. Nobody talks like that. It's very repetitive. You want to use actual English to rank. All right, something else about organic searches are that Google will use every page on a site. So on this page, or on this website, all these different pages kind of contribute to midtownanimalhospital.com. And so sorry about that. Okay, thank you. All right. So I liken the usage of all the content from these different pages as it's kind of like a cumulative score from if you're taking a class somewhere, right? So, for example, if all the words that appear on this page, all the words that appear here, they're all going into a big bucket in which Google will then use to rank, right? Here you notice that we have West Sacramento, where I'm from. We also have a couple of different communities, Carmichael, Fair Oaks, Elk Grove. We may not put these on every page, but she's got them on the this directions page, and then the home page as well. So, and right here you see these different communities. We're proud to have clients include our neighbors in Midtown as well as clients from West Sac, Davis, Carmichael, Fair Oaks, and Elk Grove. So, she just rattled off a couple of different places. I'm sure she probably gets more folks that just walk in there. Midtown Sacramento, for those that don't know from around here, is kind of a hit place now. It used to be kind of a I don't want to say seedy place because I used to live there, but it's like most big towns, right? They get this part that has all the coffee shops and the tattoo parlors, and it's really nice now. And so she gets a lot of folks from there. So if you want to reach out to people from a certain community, include this on your page, at least on your home page. You can certainly do it on your contact page as well, since that has some discussion there of directions. We've got the map and all that sort of business. But the content is, from all the pages counts when you do a search. And so if we go back here, this is why she is on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These guys right here have Sacramento right in the name of their URL. So I see there's a couple of you on here, and I haven't looked up your hospitals yet. But if you are a new hospital and you have a domain name, I would strongly urge you to have the name of the practice and as much as possible instead of abbreviations. You actually can get SEO out of your domain name because that tells people where you're located and what you do. So, for example, right here, look at these. MidtownAnimalHospital.com, South Sacramento PetHospital.com. Fantastic name. These guys aren't our clients, but that's a great name. And South Sacramento is a whole different part of town, but that helps. So knowing that, that gives you just kind of a general idea that content's important, that every page is important. I want to go even further and talk about the two big parts of SEO. So one part of it is the stuff that you do on your website. We're going to cover some things like the photos and the text and all that. And then the other part of it has to do with off-site navigation. What off-site navigation is the stuff that happens off the site. It's links to your page from different websites. So if for example you have, and I'm just going to grab one right here. Maybe that's not a good one. And so you've all heard of links to your pages, right? So there's if your site has here's one. What I'm in right now is a program called Google Webmaster Tools. And this is a free program. If you don't have it on your site, we can install it. We're on a project right now to get every single site to have both Google Analytics and Google Webmaster Tools. And so what we can do is these links to your site count. If you noticed, this is part of this program is a communications avenue between you and Google, and we can see that they have links from Fay Observer, Pet Store Finder, these different kind of places here. Yellow Pages has 300. There can be even more, because these are all places. Here we go. Here's Midtown. So here's some of the places Dex knows, which are, I know that they're a kind of a directory. Yellow Pages, WordPress, lots of different places for links. And if you're not sure how many links you have, I'll put this link here. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is probably the least techie part of SEO. It's super, I mean, I know everyone's scoffing right now, but it really isn't. So you put in your business. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put that Midtown here. What zip code are they? 95. I think it's this. We'll check. And what this site is, these folks from Moz, they do a bunch of SEO stuff. They put on conferences. They have training, stuff like that for guys like me, and people like you too as well. I mean, it's not just tech people. They have a lot of great information on there, and of course they want to sell us something, as you can see here. But this interface is great because it lets us kind of get some information about the sites that are linking to your practice. So here's Midtown Animal Hospital. I'm going to go ahead and click on her account. Now, Dr. True has been our client for years. She's an old school vinner, and she's been part of eVetSites, almost from the inception. And so this is she's got a great score. This is a score here of her presence on different pages. So, for example, Google, Facebook, Foursquare, Super Pages, Bing, Axiom, Yelp, and the YP. This isn't to say that you have to sign up for each one of these, but it will certainly help you. Here's Bing, 100%. They've got something on there. This is only about a dozen pages, right? There are more out there. Let me see here. And these business directories, these online places, this list is kind of arbitrary. They've picked Google, Facebook, etc. But look at this. Better Business Bureau, that's one I'd like to be on. Angie's List, another great choice. These are all places that you can sign up for. Here's how the process goes. And we can talk about this when we're on. So for example, Best of the Web or Hot Frog, you could go to this page and just sign up, right? So for example, so here's a way that you can log on. You can add a business registration. And so they're all going to, in general, the process is going to look like this. You sign up, you pick a username and a password, and then there's going to be either some sort of verification process where they call your business or they mail you a postcard. This is just to verify that you're actually there. And then you got to wait a little bit for the verification, and you repeat the process. Not super exciting. Like I said, it's probably the most tedious part of this, of SEO is this. But if you just do one a day, one every couple of days, you'll start reaping the dividends, because then you get to a point like this where they're up in the 80s. Again, this is really arbitrary. There's way more than this. I just use this kind of as a rough score. And you can also find out how your site is listed on different places. So for example, take a look at this place, the YP. So this has listings, but they don't have the website. Also, the phone number is kind of funky. That phone number is not the same phone number as this one. And again, I know because this is my vet. So when I look at it, I'm just like, well, where did they come up with this thing? So they've got some perhaps outdated information, and you can then go and you can get your stuff to be consistent. So you get all your information to be straight across the board. You want it to line up. The industry term for this is they're talking about the phone number, the address, and your name. NAP, name, address, phone number. And if you have all those things consistent across different interfaces, different listings, it'll be easier for Google to rank you higher. It'll be easier for the consumer as well. They sit there and they don't have to worry about, well, wait a minute, this one says MAH and they've got this phone number. You know, what's the story here? And then the other part of it is if you can also see there's areas to improve on this. So again, I put the link in the chat window. I'm going to give you folks this one as well. I know this is kind of daunting, so don't feel like you have to start on this, but it's got a great listing of these. You know, here's the major search engines, Better Business Bureau, again some other listings, and I kind of agree more with this list because there are so many than I do with this one. But this one's easier just to plug them in. Last thought on this. I've got a client. They're wonderful people down in Florida. They're kind of a home care, you know, at your door type veterinary practice. They moved from a brick and mortar situation to going, you know, to do the in-home care, and so this one's kind of a different situation because I've had to make listings for them, and every time they call, I mean, if you wanted to, we can certainly do that. They started at 0% a couple months ago, and now you can go ahead and see that they're at, you know, almost halfway there, which I'm happy with. I would still like for it to be more, but the process is a little slow. It's not an instant process. You'll go and you make the changes, you submit them, and then sometimes it takes a little bit for these places to catch up. Why this isn't showing up on Google, I'm not sure. Honestly, it should have been there already. And you can see here that there's no listings on these different ones, right? So what you can do is create a listing. Now, and here's some that are inconsistent because they used to be Seven Springs Animal Hospital, and now they are Animal Care at Your Door, or it's actually At Your Door Veterinary Care. They're missing an address because now they are, you know, a home delivery or I'm sorry, home care. So it's not like they want to put their home address on there. I would have gotten a PO box, but you know, what are you going to do? So, I think everyone on the call, like I said, I haven't checked all the different practices, but I think everyone here is a brick and mortar situation. So if not, let me know. That's the approach is just a little different. It does not mean that we, you know, can't jump in and help you. It's just a little more work. You have to kind of dig in a little on these things, but we'll be glad to help. Okay, so to recap again, SEO, how to improve your search engine. You know, all the parts of your pages count, and there's two big areas. There's the stuff that you do on your website and the stuff that you do off your website to get all these links on here. This is actually a little bit of marketing, right? So how it's kind of like if you see those guys spinning signs, you know, advertising a pizza place or housing development. It's kind of like that. You're directing somebody to another location or to a point of interest. So let's jump into the actual stuff that you can do on your website. The first thing I would do, and this is a really easy, you know, not very difficult type thing. None of these are. I'm not going to put anything on here that's not at all, you know, easy. It's how to edit your images. So every image that you have is an opportunity to reinforce and to restate the content that's on the site. If you notice right here, when I highlight this, it says it's on Animal Hospital, veterinarian serving West Sac, Davis, Carmichael, Fair Oaks, and Elk Grove. So now it's here and it's here. How I add it is I go to edit content, and I'm assuming everyone knows how to log in already. You click the key, put in your username and password. If you go to edit content, double click the image, and here in image description, you're going to go ahead and put in some content. You can include the you know, in general, what I would do is the name of the practice, your location, and what the page is about. You can have different ones for different pages. So, for example, The home page is sort of an introductory point here. We kind of have that catchphrase. They don't have their bio, so let me see what's another one. Here's the contact us one. Contact info and driving directions to Midtown Animal Hospital from. So there's the, again, this is pretty basic. If you see the map, you pretty much know what to do. You click on it and you can get to that part where you can, put directions in and whatnot. And but you're reinforcing, and it's a very simple thing. It kind of reinforces what's on the site. And this will, and you can do this different things for different people. So, for example, a staff member, you might include veterinary clinic, Anytown, California. Here's our practice manager, Joe. And then maybe for a piece of equipment or something there, veterinary clinic, Anytown, California. We offer laser surgery. It all depends on the thing, on what the picture is about, what the page is about. You can just make a short sentence about what's on there. Avoid just cramming keywords in there because people are going to see this. And so, and if a page doesn't have images, add one. You can't go wrong with pictures. People love to look at animals. We have some stock images here. If you go to Image Bank, and then click on eVetSites, here you'll see them. I'm going to go to dog cats. I like this guy's ears. Spaying and neutering. So here what we could do is we could say, pretty simple, right? But this is telling people a lot of information because you're giving people now a little more context for what this this page is about, and you're repeating that term. So now here's this image, and it's got information about what you're telling them. So you've already repeated the term Sacramento. We've got Sacramento in there one more time. Maybe that's all we need to kind of crawl over the top of those other guys. Maybe you've been following a search religiously, and then you go, man, we keep falling behind these knuckleheads down the street. And it could be something as simple as that. Sometimes all it takes is just a little thing to kind of push you over. And this is a very simple thing to do. Google has their own list of recommendations. Let me see if I can find them in another window here. Yeah, here's a great page. I'll put this one in the list as well. You can get. So here's what they think is good, better, best. Not so good, puppy, no alt text. Better, puppy. And then Dalmatian puppy playing fetch, right? This is kind of specific. And then to be avoided, and here are the list of keywords. Puppy, dog, baby, dog, pups, puppies, dogs. Nobody talks like that. It would be the same as if I were to pick up the phone at the beginning of this webinar and then just say, good morning, optimization, relevance, search terms, ranking signals, links, hypertext. It's not something that people actually do. And so this keyword stuffing that they're talking about, avoid it if at all possible. It won't help. People won't like it. And when you do a search, so let's say I do this. Sometimes people search by images. And you can see here, hey, look at this. She's showing up right here. And this is for everything. I know that it's checking for the stuff that's near me, but I mean, here's some stuff from, looks like Canada or something. There's all these different places. People use the images. People search, not everybody searches through just the main box. They search for images. So for example, and then they'll search and they'll look for these different places, right? Let's see what I get for Davis. So here's these guys. Yelp seems to be quite a bit. In Barkley, Dog Vacay. Look at this. Quinn and Tori's Dog Palace. So see, they've added the text, and sometimes the text is around the image, but they've got it so it'll show up, and so that's why that image is ranking. You can get a jump on this by just going to edit content. If a page doesn't have an image, add an image, and that will certainly improve the search of, and it'll increase the amount of times that you can have that search term in there. So, and it kind of breaks up, like, before I put this in here, this is kind of a wall of text. You could probably put this down in the middle somewhere as well. They soften the page. They make it a little bit less clinical, and this will be something that's helpful. Okay, something else that I'd like to touch on, and I can't remember if today I was supposed to do the webmasters, but maybe next week. Just like, as you notice, there's the links to your site here on this Google Webmasters tools. You'll notice that there's this other thing down here that says internal links. Google is very big on site structure. And they're big on site structure because there's two reasons: humans and machines. When you first contribute a site to Google, if you go ahead and when Google comes to find your page, here, let me rewind. One of the ways how Google finds these pages is through programs. They'll send out a program that looks for a website, and then when it encounters a website, it looks for links. If it finds a link, it'll follow it, and then it'll continue following on a site until it's reached as many pages as possible. Now, if there are no links on a page, it just catalogs that page and it moves on and it does the next thing. When we talk to Google, we submit a thing called a sitemap. Every site that's on eVetSites has a sitemap built in. This is a file that is automatically updated every time you add a page, remove a page, delete a page, hide a page, anything like that. It updates this sitemap file. And so we submit it to Google, and here you can see here's all the different pages, and here they are. Now we can tell Google, we've got 20 pages, but if you notice, they've only indexed 19. They missed one of them. You want to get as many as possible, if not all of them. And the way to do that is through linking. I know that it seems kind of old school. Nowadays we have navigation, we have buttons, we have all this other ways of getting things. But good old links, good old blue links that you can click on are Google's friend, and they will be your friend as well. So take a look at your home page. Look to see if it links to these top-level menus. So for example, here, thanks for reading about our veterinary practice. You notice that this is about us right here, right? When I click here, here's this page. It talks about the practice. And now there's links to these. If you're on a computer, you could just go over here and use this. But this is why, nowadays, Google is worried about people on mobile devices, because it's not just computers that access your website anymore. And so if you shrink this down, now we have this navigation. Now all of a sudden, and if you're down here, if you're on your home page of this website, maybe you're searching for a doctor near you, you could click up here, click here, and then go to different pages. But that's a little cumbersome. There's more than one click that's happening there. I know you're thinking, okay, well, what's the big deal? It's 1 or 2 clicks. It's you know, when pick up your phone and search for something, and then you'll see how it's not even a thing of people being lazy or whatever. It's just an instinctive thing because you're used to being able to just tap with your finger and going to that page. So that said, the pages should be structured in a way that they're all connected. So your home page links to these top-level navigation pages, and then when you get to that sub-page, that takes you somewhere else, because you want to be able to go ahead and have Google find as many pages as possible, hopefully all of them. So if you notice right here, it takes us to the About Us. Here's services, surgical FAQs, policies, all this stuff, right? So if we click services, more, and then finally, if you've got a page and there's nothing else going on to it, I mean, it's kind of a dead end, send them to your contact us page. In the industry term for this kind of steering or taking someone to a central point is called a call to action. If you're going to go to, for example, if you go to the Red Cross, there's going to be probably something about donating, right? Hey, there it is, blood donation, right? They're doing all this stuff to try and help folks. If we go here, their job is to take as much of your paycheck as possible, right? And so here's this thing. I mean, it's all an ad, right? And then if you, even if you go to a section, buy. It's very easy. There's another section up here. You know, they make it that there's something happening. But the whole point is to go ahead and separate you from your money. Not a bad thing. Not a value judgment. Just saying that this is what they're doing. For a hospital, what you're doing is you're hoping that they're going to set up an appointment, or they're going to pick up the phone to set up an appointment. So if you're in doubt as to where to link them, create the link and send them to this contact us page or an appointment page if you have one. That way you can go ahead and steer them towards you. And then that final step is obviously when they open this door, step on through and we begin that relationship. Let me see if I have any that I have to do here. Contact. All right, so here's the page, and I just realized that right here, there's a subpage for the frequently asked questions. Let's see what this has to do. You know, and I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision and move this one because I don't think that it kind of belongs there. So let me move it under About Us, which I think is a little more of a fit. Okay, so now, of course, I'll have to add the link there to FAQ. Maybe this is a missing page. Okay, so to create a link, and if you know how to do this, I'll make this fast. Highlight the text while you're inside of Edit Content. Click the link. And if you're linking to another page within the site, all you have to do is hit the drop-down. And it'll take you there. Go ahead and hit Save Content. So now next time Google comes through, they're going to go ahead and get this information. Hey, look at this. There's a surgical FAQ, and then there's just a general FAQ. Anyone got it so far? Does anyone have any questions? Okay. If you don't have, well, here's a question. Do I need a Gmail account? Okay, good question. Okay, so if you notice, we've got a couple of different accounts here. We've got eVetSites and um, EVS Analytics, EVS Analytics 2. Like I said, we're on a course to try and get everybody onto the analytics and webmaster tools platforms. You don't need a Gmail account per se, but you do need a Google account. So if you can set up a Google account using your own email and then use that username and password to log in. If you need help setting it up, we'll be glad to. We can also share access. So for example, we can set it up for you, and it's still your account, kind of like everything we do. It's not really ours. It's yours. So here it's just us, but we could add somebody there if we had it, if we needed to. Yesterday I was working with someone. Let's see here. It's this one. I was helping these folks, and they wanted. Nope, that's not the one. But you can add people. So if you need to get access, we can certainly add you on there. You know, even if we have it set up. It's a very nice interface that lets you do that. Okay, so we've covered just the tags on the images. We've talked about the setting up the profiles on the different websites. I'm going to talk really quick about titles. And so let's see here. If you do site colon and then the domain name for your website, you will see how Google has, you know, how they have you ranked, or not ranked, but you'll see all the pages that they've got indexed. You'll see all the pages that they've gone through and how they view the site. If you notice, these all have nice titles: name of the practice, location, what the page is about. Midtown Animal Hospital, Sacramento, California, useful links, FAQs, services, employment, etc. Look at this one. It only says hours. So if you've got two monitors, you can do this. Here. Okay, and I'll do. I think I might be able to do this even though I'm only using the one. So if you notice, right here, see how this says hours? This part right here, this long blue line, well, it's purple because I clicked on it, is this right here, the title. I got here by clicking on Edit Menu. This right here, this green text, or this line right here, is called the page slug. And the page slug is this green thing right here. And then finally, we've got the description, which is down here. And the description is this little paragraph down here that's under everything. So what I'd recommend is that every page have at least the name of the practice, where you're located, and then what the page is about. You don't have to do it in this order. There's no hard and fast rule about it. If you wanted to, you could do this. Use the pipe symbol, which is above the backslash. You could do this. This will be fine. You know, that way it's just sort of separates it out. Try not to have more than 4 or 5, you know, brackets in here. You could do something like that. And if you wanted to write just a little sentence up here, you can as well. But really, this is just to sort of grab people's attention, and then afterwards you can get down into the nitty-gritty. Notice that on the home page, full service veterinary practice in Sacramento, California. Here it is. Here's the little snippet here. Here's the title. Make sure that if you're going through, make sure that you can just kind of check them. Here's one right here, pet library. And the reason that I want to have all this information is because you have more real estate. See? This is less to click on than this. And then the other part of it is, if you pull this up, sorry, not here. If you pull this up on your cell phone, this is what it looks like right here. So the slug is even more important, because then that's gonna really stand out. The title is gonna be really short. The slug's gonna be really short, but it'll give you some information of something to work on. So if you're creating new pages, don't just leave them as like new page 49 or new page 70 or whatever. Call it what it is. Our boarding, info on mail order, whatever the case may be, go ahead and change it. And this will definitely improve your ranking. If you notice, these folks have most of them done pretty well. I think that's just because I've been using them sort of as an example. Our remodel, let's look at this. So they finished this remodel here, but let's look at the page. Oh. Yeah, so there's nothing there. I would change this. If you ever see something like this, where it says starter site or name of the practice and whatever, you can get rid of it. If you go to admin home, administration, account information, here's where you can make these changes. So you've got the name of the practice and the address. So pretty straightforward. And again, I would, since this has an image, this has an image of the practice, just double click this. Okay, a few quick words on the titles. Let's see where I put this one. If you're working on your titles here and your description, make sure that description is just a short sentence using words from that page. It can be, you can make it as, and you'll notice that this thing runs out of space, right? So like right here, because there's only so many spots when you go and you do a search. So if you notice, see how this kind of, you get the ellipses right here and right here, because it runs out. And so you only have, a certain amount of text for, or there's a character count for the title and the description. I'd really recommend, if you feel like something's going to get chopped off, put it at the beginning so that people can read it. Right? If the most important part of the sentence is that you're going to be closed because of a snowstorm, or that, and if you were to do that, it may take a bit too. So hold that thought. But if you were to say, you think about what we're trying to communicate and make that first, and then include sort of the details later. Because then what happens, so if you have something like this, it's going to get chopped off, right? And so this will tell you, well, here's about the point where things are still cool. Fill it up as much as you can towards that point, because that's going to be what people see. It's going to be what people click on. And if you can, include a description that's just a short kind of summation of what's on the site. You don't have to use the exact sentences from that site. You can kind of mix and match. What Google does is it compares the text on the page to what you put in the description. So if here you've got something that says, trying to think of how many youth culture things I can put at once. So if you put something like this in here, you will probably get a little bit of a boost. People will come to the site, and then once Google figures out what's happening, it'll go ahead and drop ranking, and that'll be a bummer, because then you will not be able to, all your work will be for naught. So just include things that are, legitimately there on the site. And I know no one's going to actually put this stuff in there. I'm just using that to, be a little hyperbolic and see the point. But if you have, if this page just talks about this, then let's put this on here. This is closer to the truth than that other sentence. Okay, so we've covered some general things. There's really not a lot of technical stuff that's happening. There's a little bit of creative writing. There's a little bit of linking. When you're probably the techiest thing that I've discussed on here is how to make the links. And so you could, if you've got a lot of pages up here on your website, it can be a little daunting. Just do one page at a time. You'd be surprised what you do if you can work on one page per day. You can then get that'll be your entire site in a month or so, if you've got an average site. And if you need help with any of this, of course we will be glad to do this. This is kind of a general talk. We obviously would love to have an individual conversation with each of you, and that way we can talk about the communities in your area. We talk about the focus of your practice, and things that you'd like to search for, or maybe things that you feel that you're not searching for. I get a lot of calls where people will ask me, "Hey, Jose, we're not doing well," and I say, "Well, for what?" So, on Google. Well, okay, but for what search? And then they kind of get confused because they've never really thought about it. But the search terms are different. What you use to type in to search for something is totally different than what somebody else will do it, right? Animal, something silly like that. I mean, an animal doctor. Well, here's what people will put in, or maybe or there's all different searches, right? So what you want to do is have your site be as big of a target for the different ones. And if you have concerns about the different search terms, let's talk about those specifically, and then we can get that taken care of for you. We're nearing the end here. Anyone have any questions about what we've covered so far? I'm going to put this tip on how to do the titles and the descriptions here in the chat window, so you should see them. All right, this is where I will do my pitch then. I want to thank everyone for sticking it out and bearing with me. I had a couple of little hiccups here, so I thank you all for your patience. We invite you to follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, as you can see. We are on Facebook, and we are on Twitter. So we'd love to see you all on all these platforms. We will update them, and we'll let you know of other upcoming webinars like the one that we're doing today. We have them on different topics. I'll also tell you about the conferences we'll be attending. Come on up and say hi. And if anyone has questions when we are somewhere, we'll help you there too. It's one of the best parts of being traveling is to actually meet our clients. Okay. You've been great. It's been very quiet. No questions. Thank you all again for coming out, and let us know if we can be of any help. We're here for you guys.